So I love the idea about this woman who's always a bridesmaid and never a bride. It's a great script.
Thank you. I've been working on it really hard.
Okay, but what we need is a title that illustrates that concept to the audience.
Well, what if we put a number in the title?
I love numbers.
Oh, thank you. So my first thought was, what about 3 dresses?
3 dresses. Well, I mean, I've been in 3 weddings. That's not that many.
Yeah, you're right. I've been in 3 weddings too. I've got 3 bridesmaid dresses.
Plus, there's already movies with 3 in the title. You've got 3 Days of the Condor, 3 Ninjas, High Noon at Mega Mountain.
What about 300 dresses?
Well, 300, there was that movie called 300 about the Roman warriors.
So?
People are going to think it's a sequel to 300, but with goyles.
Oh, well, and 300 dresses, that's a lot of dresses. What's a more reasonable number? 7 dresses. That's more than 3.
7, still not that many, and it's kind of on the nose. You know, you've got like 7 samurai,
Yeah, 7, the lucky number. Okay.
Lucky number 11.
11?
That's not quite a number, but that was a movie that's kind of supposed to sound like 7.
Oh,
so.
okay. Well, what about 11 dresses?
Okay, well, here's the problem.
Okay.
There's Oceans 11, 12, and 13, so we can't do any of those.
Oh, damn it.
That damn Oceans franchise is ruining all my number movies.
Okay. Hear me out. And this may be far-fetched.
Okay.
What about 27 dresses?
27 dresses?
It's more than 20, less than 30, and it's an interesting number. Most people don't think about 27. It's a little weird.
Is 27 a prime number?
I'm not sure.
I think it is. You just slayed the cat, young lady.
Well, thank you.
Slay the Cat podcast.
Slay the cat is speaking truth. Slay the cat is proof. Hear us talk your favorite film. Slay the cat is juiced. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast.
Hey, all you bridesmaids out there. Welcome to Slay the Cat. I'm your host, Joey, alongside my lovely bride, Erin.
Hello.
All right. So we are in Love Month.
Ooh. Ah.
So we're going to be doing some romantic comedies for the rest of the month.
Yeah.
And we got a special one coming for you later. This isn't on our regular release schedule, but...
well, this one will be, but the next one won't be.
Yeah. Should we give it away or...
Yeah, because it's a little special episode.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give you a little special sneak peek.
I'm just going to say it's going to come out on leap year, the day of
Leap
leap
day.
year. Leap day, leap year, whatever
Leap
you
day
call it.
of the leap year. So that's a little hinty hint. Wink, wink, wink.
Yeah, it's a romantic comedy, so I'm pretty sure you could figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But today, we're going to talk about a different romantic comedy
Yeah.
called 27 Dresses.
Yes, ma'am.
And Joey, I have a very deep background with this movie, actually. I used to watch this movie a lot.
You did.
And I wanted to know what your background with this movie is.
Well, before we get to the movie just yet, I also want to talk about how this is not only Love Month.
Yeah.
This is our birth month.
This is our birth month. This is our birthday month.
Yeah. So we're married, but our birthdays are 9 days apart.
Yeah.
Your birthday is on Groundhog's Day, February 2nd, and then mine is 9 days later on February 11th.
I was thinking about our birthdays, and I don't know if anyone out there are like numerology kind of people, or like witchy kind of people. But I like to look at stuff like that because I think it's interesting. Not that I necessarily believe it, but I think it's cool and interesting. And it's like, that's funny. And something I noticed about our birthdays the other day was that, so my birthday is 2/2, okay?
Right.
And your birthday is 2/11.
Right.
Which your birthday, if you take your 2 and you leave it as it is, and you take your 1/1 and add those two together, we have the same birth number. So like 2/2 equals 4, 2/11 equals 4. So our little birth numbers kind of add up to the same number. And I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah, when you really do those mental gymnastics, it does.
Well, I mean, also like it's 2, 2, 2, and 1/1. Your ones add up to 2. So it's kind of like our birthdays are the same a little bit.
Yeah. That's a cool synchronicity.
Yeah, it's just like a little cute little, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and we're kind of dorky like that.
Yeah,
so.
we're a little gay in that way.
I always like to make the joke when people talk about my birthday. It's like I just gave my birthday to my wife.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really a big birthday guy.
He sold it to me for $20.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
This year we like to eat out a lot, but we don't really ever go to fine dining establishments because we're both like working class. We have working class jobs, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, even though we both have college degrees. But so this year we're like, let's just go to a fancy restaurant and spend a bunch of money.
What is considered working class?
I don't know. Well, working class would be like trade skills. Like
okay.
I do a trade for a living, so
yeah.
I'm definitely working class. But teacher, you have to have a college degree to be a teacher. But I think of that as like, there's just so many teachers.
It's not blue collar, but like.
It's definitely not blue collar.
Working class is like people that work to make their money.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's the reason I think of teachers that way is just because they don't make a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people view them as babysitters.
Yeah, very much so.
But let's not get wrapped up in that. So we went to a
fancy-ish it's a fancier restaurant than we'd ever gone. I mean, it's pretty nice actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the fanciest restaurant we've ever been to.
Yeah.
But it's called Brenner's on the Bayou here in Houston, and
it was fantastic.
Yeah.
The food was so delicious. It was such a great birthday date for us. I don't know. I think it was the best date. Like just us two being together. That was one of the best dates we've had together. We got to connect with each other and just be together. And it was a really fun experience for us. We got to ride in our little new car, our new old car that we got together.
We bought a 20-year-old Toyota MR2.
We rode with the top down. Yeah. It was really cute. It was a really fun little experience for us. And we really bonded. And it was a really great experience. The food was really great. We literally have not stopped talking about some of the food that we got there. I made food last week, and it was potatoes au gratin, and Joey looked at me and was like, "Do you still think about the potatoes au gratin we got at Brenner on the Bayou?" And I was like, "Yes, every day."
Literally
so
every
good.
Day. Yeah. So if you're one of those people like us who just doesn't have the money for fine dining and
all the time
has never given it a thought, like it's something you should try. You know, if you got a little bit of money to throw around, it's the whole experience is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. And it was really fun. It was really beautiful. I would want to go a little bit earlier than we went because when we were finished eating, it had gotten dark, so we didn't really get to see the bayou very much.
Right.
I wish we'd have gotten there earlier so that we could have walked the bayou before we ate. Because there was we ate. It was so much food. Granted, we spent a good chunk of money.
Yeah.
But we had leftovers.
Yeah, but it's really about the full experience because the service that you get isn't like when you go to Chili's and you see your waiter twice in a food runner once, and then you pay on the little kiosk. It's a total experience.
Yeah.
And when you go there, the first thing they say is, "Are you guys celebrating anything tonight?" Mm-hmm. And we told them it's both of our birthdays.
Yeah.
So they brought us a free dessert, and the free dessert was absolutely delicious.
Yeah. It was the best free dessert I've ever gotten.
Yeah, for sure. But I think there's a lot of people who just it's completely out of their mind. They think it's too expensive.
They had
would
even
never
written happy birthday on our plates.
Yeah, and chocolate.
Yeah.
But I think there's just a lot of people out there, even my family included, who wouldn't even dream of doing something like that because it's just too expensive. Mm-hmm. But it's totally worth it. And I think it's something, if you have the money, you do it once every 5 years. It doesn't matter. But I think it's a great experience. And don't just be like, oh, it's too expensive.
Mm-hmm. And never do it. Yeah.
Yeah. We're definitely not going to be doing it that often.
Yeah. Because it was a nice chunk of change. But it was totally worth it for our birthdays and for us to bond and get to do that together.
Yeah, and if you're the type of person who eats out a lot, skip a few weeks of eating out.
Just to save up for that one event.
And you will not even have spent that much money.
Yeah.
The money that you saved. Yeah, so easy as that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you have a background with this movie.
Yeah. So this came out in 2008, so I was coming out of middle school. And in middle school through my high school years, I was very I wouldn't say obsessed with love, but I loved love. And so I loved watching romantic comedies. If you...
I fell in love with love and I proposed to love.
But usually whenever I hang out with one of my best friends, we usually try and sit down and watch a romantic comedy together. Me and my best friend, them. They were one of my bridesmaids, but she and I, every time we hang out, we try to watch like a romantic comedy because we just both love romantic comedies. Her bachelorette, or not her bachelorette, her bridal shower was romantic comedy themed. And so I've always loved romantic comedies. And when this movie came out, I really fell in love with the actress Katherine Heigl, who she's the star of this movie. And this was the first time I really noticed her ever in a movie. And I was like, oh my gosh, I loved her as an actress. I loved her performance. And I mean, I was obsessed with love because I was in a middle school. I was a middle school girl and I was like, oh, love. I love love. I want love. And so I really clung to it. So yeah. I mean, there's not much more to it than being a puberty driven teen.
Okay, so you just seen this movie
hormonal teen.
Aaron, you said a lot of stuff just to be like, I've seen this movie a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's it. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, okay.
Well, and I loved it.
My background with this movie is nothing. I knew it came out. I'm not a big rom-com guy. Katherine Heigl is just the woman who was in Knocked Up.
Oh, me. Yeah.
And then that terrible show, Grey's Anatomy, that's so melodramatic and I can't stand it. I don't have anything against Katherine Heigl. I just didn't really know who she was. Mm-hmm. But I do like her now. Yeah. And there's a lot of people I like in this movie. James Marsden, I put in my note. I called him Mars Bar in my notes. Judy Greer is in this. Mm-hmm. I can't remember her name. The blonde woman that plays her sister. She's been in some other stuff that I liked.
The one that plays Tess?
Yeah, Tess. That's it.
I don't remember what her name is, but she's been in several things.
Yeah, she's been in, most notably Silk Spectre and Watchmen. I know you've seen that movie.
Have I?
No, you haven't.
I don't know. I was like, oh, goodness.
Yeah, so I have no connection to this movie until now.
So yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm. But I did notice some other stuff, and this is some industry stuff. But if anybody is listening to this and thinking about a career in showbiz. This movie was directed by a woman named Anne Fletcher. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know who she was until today, but I was looking at her IMDb, and she has 52 credits as a choreographer.
Oh, she did Hairspray.
Yeah, she's done a ton of stuff. Catwoman, The Longest Yard, Along Came Polly,
I loved that movie.
Love, Bringing Down the House, Catch Me If You Can, Firefly, the TV show. So, and then she also has a few credits as dancer. So this person started their career off as a dancer, and then they became a choreographer, and then
She was in Casper?
as a dancer. She was in Casper. And then she directed the Step Up movie. You remember Step Up?
Yes, I remember Step Up.
That's a
That
movie.
was so popular when I was in high school.
Yeah, it's a movie about dancers.
Yeah.
Right? So she's like, here I am. I'm this choreographer. Somebody gave her an opportunity to direct a movie about dancing. Then her very next movie is 27 Dresses. And then after that, she does The Proposal, which is another romantic comedy.
Which I love that movie too.
Yeah, and then there's another movie that we've seen called Hot Pursuit. It has Reese Witherspoon and the Colombian woman, Sofia Vergara.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in it. And then now she directed Hocus Pocus 2, and she's directing Hocus Pocus 3 that's currently in
that's
development.
awesome.
So that's a hell of a career to start your career in the mid 90s as a dancer, and then now you're directing Hocus Pocus 3, which is a big cult franchise now.
That's really awesome.
So if you're out there thinking about a career in showbiz, that's just one of the weird ways your career can go.
Yeah, you can start out as a dancer.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I got. Is there anything else that you want to talk about just in the abstract, like
Well, I mean,
about this movie?
just that I think as a young girl, a lot of people think of romantic comedies as like this I feel like there were people that would say like, oh, romantic comedies are manipulating minds of young girls.
Oh, God.
You know, all of that stuff. But I always thought I've always was drawn to romantic comedies because I never thought like, oh, this is going to be my life, a romantic comedy. But I think they're always a source of entertainment. And I think people that think like that take things too seriously.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I mean, I think they always point to some, like, one person who took it too seriously and did something stupid. Like, what comes to mind is, like, the Tide Pods thing.
Yeah.
That was a joke on the internet. And then, of course, like, one idiot does it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, no, romantic comedies aren't ruining today's youth. They used to say that, like Roger Ebert used to say that about the Friday the 13th movies, that they're like ruining teenagers. It's like, no, they're not.
But even like with all of these romantic, I had something to say and then it went away. Damn it.
Romantic comedies.
It's gone.
Ruining young girls.
You said something.
Making you fall in love with love.
I fell in love with love and proposed to love.
We got married on Valentine's Day. The venue was a Best Western in Modesto. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think...
Oh, I think the part that I love about rom-coms is that if you really watch a rom-com, like, you can't take it seriously. It's so hokey. And that's the fun part about it. Like the part one of the things that my friend and I do whenever we watch rom-coms is we giggle about how silly they are.
Yeah.
They're so goofy. Like whenever we were watching this, I was making some notes of like Why didn't you just be a wedding planner if you loved weddings so much instead of, because it seemed like I'll talk about it later in the movie, but like she seems like she's actively trying to find friends who are getting married to be in their wedding.
Yeah.
They kind of play at that, which is crazy. But that's the funny part about it, which that's not really how they end up playing it. She just seems to have a lot of friends.
Well, the thing is, like, it's just not fun if it's just somebody who became a wedding planner because they love weddings. It's extraordinary, and that's why the guy wants to write the article about her.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm saying like the fun part about it is that it's so goofy.
Yeah,
my friend and I, we watched this rom-com, and it was about these two people that met on an airplane going across the country. One of them was flying to the UK to go to her dad's wedding, and the boy was flying home from America to go to his mom's funeral, and they met on the airplane, but his mom wasn't actually dead. It was like this whole thing. And there developed this like romance, and it was so goofy, and we kept giggling and laughing at it because it was so funny to think about how silly this whole thing was that everything that was going on with it. So I feel like whenever you watch, it's a comedy.
Yeah.
And people take them so seriously. It's supposed to be goofy and silly.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I love romantic comedies. It's because it's so funny. And I think people take them too seriously.
Yeah,
compared to like, if it was just a comedy, people would be like, oh yeah, sure, it's great. But since it's a romantic comedy, they're like, no, it's focused on romance. It's serious. You know?
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like romantic comedies, they get more love from like critics than just flat out comedies. Like I feel like critics are like, will just pan a comedy just because it's a comedy. But if it's a romantic comedy, they'll be like, okay, well then that has some substance to it or something. Which
really,
yeah, which I don't think so. I think romantic comedies are extremely formulaic. You know, you can see each beat of it coming, which is fine. I mean, that's part of what's fun to watch about them. But it's like, I don't think it makes them any better than like, say, Anchorman.
Yeah, I think they're all individually like. They have their own formulas.
Yeah, I'm not
good.
talking about formula. I'm just saying, like, I think critics appreciate rom-coms more than they just appreciate like a regular comedy.
I wouldn't know that because I don't really look at like critic reviews of things. So
I don't either. I just know that a lot of like comedies, and you know, like comedies are overlooked by the Academy Awards.
I don't look at award shows either.
I know you don't. I'm just like these.
No, I know. Yeah.
For people who are into movies, these are well-known things.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
Like comedy and horror movies too.
Yeah.
Like horror movies don't get
I knew
any
that.
respect.
I knew horror movies get looked over often.
Yeah, that's why it was so huge when Get Out won an Academy Award. For me, you know, it's like, yeah. And then I think there were some other horror movies recently that have been praised, like Hereditary, I think it's called. But anyway, maybe they're finally starting to get a little bit of their due. I totally got off track.
Academy Awards.
No, I started talking about horror movies instead of 27 Dresses. But anyway, this movie, I just said rom-coms are very formulaic, and this one is no different. This one hits all the beats that you expect a rom-com to, and it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
Every time they do, you're like, yep. And in a good way, too. They don't... Sometimes they'll hit that beat, but it's not satisfying because it's not well written.
Yeah.
Or it just kind of falls flat. But like the Mars Bar and Higgy meet at the beginning, and their relationship is combative.
Yeah.
Right? That's the rom-com thing. Like when the two finally meet for the first time, they don't like each other.
Yeah.
Then they meet in the middle of the movie, and they're getting along. And then in the second half of the last part of like the second act, like, oh, we are having sex.
Yes.
Whatever. Yeah. It hit all of them.
Yeah. Something tears them apart and then they meet back up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then one of them has to make a big gesture at the very end of the movie to be like, I love you and I'm going to prove it to you.
Yeah.
And I remember we watched Pretty Woman not too long ago, and maybe it was one of the first to do it, but it missed a few beats that I was expecting to come, and they just didn't happen. And I was like, maybe Pretty Woman started it, and that's why it
didn't have some of those
beats.
beats.
It wasn't as perfectly formulaic yet. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, do you want to get into the movie?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So we start off with it's kind of narrative at the beginning, which doesn't really continue through the rest of the movie. I think it kind of rounds out the end of the movie.
You mean like there's a narrator at the beginning?
Yeah, she narrates at the beginning. She's kind of describing herself and who she is.
Well, the beginning starts in the past in 1986 when she's a kid.
Yeah, and she's trying to describe like how she got into weddings.
Yeah. Like her mom had just died, and then the bride's dress rips.
Yeah.
So she figures out a way to fix the dress, and she's like, that's how I knew that I was supposed to be a bridesmaid or something like that.
That she loved weddings. That she was just meant to.
But doesn't she say how she's like, I was meant to support people on those days or something?
Something along those lines. Something along to the point of, I knew I was meant to be a part of people's big day. And that she wanted to be part of other people's big day. Right.
Oh, there was a joke on there that was the bride curses, and she's like, oh, sorry. And
I have cable.
And the little girl goes, we have cable.
Yeah, it's okay. We have cable. Yeah, it's a cute little joke.
And then it cuts to present day, and she is being fitted into a wedding dress.
And you think it's her wedding dress, but it's not.
Yeah.
She gets a call, and she's in this beautiful wedding dress, and they're like, you look beautiful. And she answers, and she goes, yeah, it's perfect. It's fitting perfectly. Yeah, I'm so glad we're both the same size, too. And you realize that she's putting on her friend's dress so that she can get it hemmed to the size she needs.
Yes. So this podcast is called Slay the Cat because of the screenwriting term Save the Cat. So here in the beginning, it just shows over and over again Katherine Heigl saving the cat.
Yeah, she constantly saves the cat.
She saves the cat as a kid, that she saves the cat as an adult. And then she has to attend 2 weddings on the same night.
Yeah.
And kills it at both. So she's like super save the cat. She saved all the cats.
Yeah. So she goes to this one wedding, and I put one of my notes was dress with a collar. So one of the kind of through lines throughout the whole entire movie is, well, not through the whole movie. It's in the very beginning. She goes to the first bride, and she's like, you look so beautiful in your dress. And granted, everyone always knows that bridesmaid dresses are not the prettiest thing ever. And the bride goes, oh, I know, isn't it? And you can shorten it and wear it later. And it is the ugliest dress I've ever seen. It has a collar, like she's some kind of frat boy. And she's like, oh, it's so true. And so she's fixing her friend's hair, who looks like garbage. And so you see that she's like on it. She has everything planned out. She knows exactly what she needs to do to get everything ready. She knows how to help her friend on her big day. And she attends the wedding, and she's like checking her time. And there's a guy there that's watching the wedding, and he notices that she's like checking her time, and he's kind of curious about that. And then as soon as the ceremony's
and it's James
over,
Marsden. That's our introduction to James Marsden character, who is Cyclops from the X-Men movies. But we'll find out later that he's a columnist and he has to attend these weddings so that he can write about them.
Yes. So she leaves the ceremony and then gets in the cab, and she tells him like, "Hey, don't look back here. And I'll pay you $300. And every time you look back, you look back, I'll take $20 off." So he drives her to the next location, and she's changing in the back, and she gets out and she's dressed she takes her hair down. She looks completely different.
Yeah, she's dressed up. She puts on a dress that looks like, your typical
Indian wedding.
Yeah, like South Asian, Indian type wedding, Hindu.
Yeah.
But also you notice when she goes in there that there's like an Israeli flag on the table because the groom is Jewish.
Yeah.
And the bride is Indian or Hindu or something like that. And they have a rabbi and whatever they call a religious leader for a Hindu ceremony. And then there's a montage of her going back and forth between these two weddings. And
dancing at them, doing a speech at them, all of these things. Or someone doing a speech about her at them.
Yeah, and then in both weddings, she gets recognized by the bride. When the bride's giving a speech, she says, "I wouldn't have been able to do this without Jane?
Janie?
I think it's just Jan.
I think they call her Janie.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
But anyway, and then, she feels good and she's happy. And then they do the bouquet toss and she gets knocked out.
Yeah. She's about to catch it and then someone pushes her down. And that's when Kevin, who is played by
James Marsden. I've been calling him Mars Bar in my notes.
He picks her up and he kind of helps her up. And he's noticed that every time she goes to the taxi to get, because it's been the same taxi the same night. So he notices every time she leaves and comes back. And he even noticed at one point when she changes and it's a great shot because she's changing. You see her unzip the back of her dress and then the camera turns to him and his eyes just bulge out like he just saw something he wasn't supposed to see.
Yeah.
Like her tits or something.
Yeah. And so they're in the cab together and he's like, "Can you really believe in all this wedding stuff? Like the wedding industry's bad." And he's very cynical. We find out about his character. And
she really doesn't like him. She doesn't understand why he got in the cab with her. She doesn't know who he is. She just learns that his name is Kevin.
Yeah. And later we'll find out that the column that he writes in the wedding section of the newspaper, she loves. Mm-hmm. And she cuts clips of it out and saves them because she likes them so much. But she doesn't know that yet. She just thinks that he's some asshole that is attending a wedding even though he doesn't like weddings.
Yeah. So in the cab, after she gets out of the car, he reaches down and he finds her he calls it something.
It's a wallet.
Yeah. But it's like a little brown book that has all of her events that she's going to. And so he knows her numbers. He knows all of her information. And so he can now find out where she is. Because you can see that he's really intrigued by her. And he wants to write a column about her now.
Yeah, because he wants to do something just besides writing the commitments part of it. He wants to do a little bit more compelling story. And then it flashes to the next day, and Katherine Heigl's going to work, and Judy Greer shows up, who's like her best work friend. And
Judy Greer also is playing this character that's like, I just go to weddings so I can sleep with people. Which is fun,
she's the typical best, like all of these rom-coms, especially when the main character is a man in a rom-com, they always have like this. Like the schlubby or slob friend
sleazy.
of theirs. Yeah, sleazy friend who juxtaposes them. Mm-hmm. So they're like, oh, the typical guy is like just all about sex or whatever. But Judy Greer is kind of a mess, but still likable. And she spent the entire weekend with some guy that she met at the wedding. And she showed up to work holding her bridesmaid dress.
And she's wearing his clothes.
Yeah, she's wearing like his t-shirt. And then we go inside and there's, I think her name is Kristen Ritter, but she was in a TV show with the number 23 in it. Remember B in the apartment 23? That was her.
I remember. She was also in
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I like her. I think she's a good actor.
Yeah, me too. I think she looks cool.
Yeah. And then we found out that we go to where Mars Bars works, and he wants to do like an expose on the wedding world, but his editor is like, no, you can't do that.
He's been trying to. He tells her that I found this girl. She's been in a bunch of weddings. She's been in 7 this year. And he's like, I want to do a expose about her. She has been in a bunch of weddings, and his editor was like, you keep trying to do this. Like, what about the thing about lace and about flowers being too expensive? And he's like, this is different. So he's like, give me a chance. I really want to do it. And so she's like, fine, you got one chance, which is a ticking. It's like a little clock. And she gives
Not
him
a good
time,
one though.
Not a good one, but she gives him a time clock. She gives him a little clock. She's like, you got 1 week or something like that.
No, that's later in the movie. She says you got 1 week later in the movie. I was like, oh, a ticking clock of a whole week. And then it turns out that was a whole misdirect because she
she does tell him like, you got 2 weeks.
Yeah, but then she ends up releasing the article.
Originally though, she tells him you have 2 weeks.
I know, but
yeah.
Oh, you mean originally?
Yeah, originally
Okay.
she tells him you have a time crunch.
Yeah, that's a terrible. 2 weeks is a terrible ticking clock.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But it shows you that this is all happening pretty quick.
Not for a movie, though.
For a marriage that happens between her sister and this guy.
Yeah.
That's really fast.
In real life, I'm just saying, like, this takes place over a pretty long period of time for a movie. But that's okay.
Yeah.
It still goes pretty quickly. They do a good job of time jumps with this movie, I think.
Mm-hmm. But she works in advertisement, in advertisement, I guess, or she's an assistant to this guy.
It's not advertising. It's like some sort of an environmental business because we find out he's a vegetarian and like he cares about the environment.
Yeah.
I don't ever think they really go over what the company is, though.
Yeah, but she's this guy's assistant, and she is in love with him.
Yes, she's in love with her boss, played by Edward Burns, who you may know from Saving Private Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever seen that movie?
No, I have not.
No. Okay, well, the listeners at home may know that.
But she has to she gets flowers when she gets to work, and she's like, could they be from him? And as of now, we don't know who she's talking about. And you're like, oh, maybe she has a boyfriend or something. And then we discover, oh, well, maybe it's her boss because she has a big crush on him. And so we have no clue who these flowers are from. And then they leave the office at one point, and the desk clerk, who was Ricci, I think, is it Ricci?
Huh?
What's her name? The desk lady?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, Kristen Ritter.
She tells everyone, hey guys, don't forget about my bridal shower tonight. And it's like at some like gothic club.
Yeah, everybody's dressed up with like weird dog collar stuff.
Ow. I think I sucked something up in my throat. So she's like, oh, well, come over to my house. We're her little sleazy friends like, come over to my house. We're gonna do something with bubble wrap. And she's like, no, I have to go pick up my sister. And so she goes to the airport to pick up her sister, who I guess is a model. It doesn't really specify what her sister does, but she's flying back to the country.
I think she works in fashion.
Yeah.
But because she said something about the season being over.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have anything to do.
But she says, "Oh, I'm gonna." She brings her home, and you can see that she loves her sister, and her sister loves her. There's a really big connection between them, and she's always had to take care of her sister because her mom passed away, and that's established at the beginning of the movie. And you see her even taking care of her sister when she comes in. So when she comes in, she's like, "Hey, there's food in here. There's whatever you need. There's alcohol here." And she goes, "You can come to this business or this work thing that I'm having."
Was it a work thing?
It wasn't a work thing. I don't know why she called it a work thing.
I don't know. I don't remember what that thing was.
It was for her bridal thing.
Oh, it was for the for Kristen Ritter's bridal thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, well they sort of like go to a club / bar type thing, and everybody's going to be there, including her boss. And her boss, like Katherine Heigl's like, "I'm going to go tell him how I feel," because she still thinks that the flowers came from him.
Well, she doesn't know because at the bar, he comes up and he goes, "Hey, I left something on your desk.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I hope you don't mind. I didn't know if we had that relationship or not." And so she assumes the flowers were from him. And so she's walking up to him to ask him out. And he sees her sister from across the bar.
Yeah. And then we found out that he left his dry cleaning ticket on her desk, and that he's smitten with her sister because her sister's like pretty and blonde. But then her sister likes him, so she starts immediately like lying about who she is and says that she's a vegetarian, and because he's a vegetarian and an environmentalist and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So right away, Katherine Heigl doesn't want to like blow up her sister's spot, but at the same time, you can tell like she's annoyed.
Yeah.
With the whole thing.
Especially because that's who she has been in love with. And then she finds out that the flowers, she gets a call, and it's the reporter guy.
Mars Bars.
Yeah, Kevin. And she goes, "The flowers were from you?" Because he shows up there, and he's like, he gives her little book back, and he was like, "I hope you don't mind the flowers." And she was like, "The flowers were from you?" So she was really upset about that. And there's this.
And he's like, "Yeah, too much."
Yeah. There's more conflict with them at the beginning.
Yeah. And then she goes out the back door and screams at the top of her lungs, "Motherfucker."
Yeah.
And she's like hitting the wall with her wallet. And then the camera pans over to show that it's like a 50th anniversary party that's going on, and everybody's looking at her.
Yeah, I love that part when she goes, 50 years. Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah, that was a great gag, and I did not see it coming at all.
Yeah.
Because they didn't set up that party was going on.
Yeah, especially outside that club.
Yeah. That was kind of weird, but it works.
Yeah.
And then Mars Bar, he asks her if she wants to get a drink, just because, you know, she's kind of tense right now.
Yeah. And the other thing was she's been rejecting drinks from her boss because she's like, "I don't want to seem unprofessional or out of control or crazy or anything like that." She wants to seem very responsible. And her friend keeps saying, "Yeah, because that's what guys want, a responsible person." But the reporter seems to keeps going after her, but it's because he wants that story.
Yeah, he doesn't like her. They both think that they're opposites of one another because he's very cynical about weddings, and she loves weddings.
But he doesn't really know that she's like obsessed with weddings. I think he's just trying to figure out why is she in a bunch.
Yeah, that tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But then she's all upset about her sister going out with her boss. So she goes home and she's just basically waiting for her sister to come home. She can't sleep. So she's like cleaning the house.
Yeah.
And finally her sister comes home. And I like the part where she's like, "Oh, maybe she comes home and she tells me how he basically just talked about me the whole night."
Yeah.
Nope, that's not going to happen.
And she comes home and she was like, oh, it was wonderful, and tell me more about him. And so she starts talking about him, and you can tell that she loves him. And then she goes, you can tell that her sister's like, oh wow, he sounds amazing. And she goes, but he has flaws too. Yeah, like what? He likes cashews, or he hates cashews. And he doesn't wear socks sometimes when he wears sneakers. And she goes, these aren't really deal breakers though. Which I guess is true. I mean, the socks thing.
Yeah.
Kind of gross.
Yeah, and then they go to visit their dad together.
Yeah, and her sister is getting calls from him. So, and their dad, I think, is just, it's just a moment for their dad to be like, oh, she's back in town, just to establish that her sister is back in town, and we don't really know how long she's going to be here. Because originally she tells her, oh, I'll be here for 2 weeks, like a week or two. And then when she gets home with her dad, she is like, oh, like several weeks.
Yeah, she's saying like could be there longer, and Katherine Heigl is visibly annoyed by that.
Yeah, because she's like, I thought you were only going to be here like 2 weeks. So there's conflict in her and her sister's relationship. You can tell already.
Yep.
And then after that, we see a montage of her sister Tess and her boss and their relationship going and them getting, we see what is her name? The wedding, the goth wedding.
Oh yeah, we get glimpses of that. Goth wedding. And
that's when they first say they love each other and they kiss, and
yeah, and then also we meet Edward Burns, the boss. He has a much younger brother, like a kid brother named Pedro.
From the YMCA.
He's probably like a half brother.
He's from the YMCA.
Oh, like Big Brothers of America?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
They say that.
I guess I missed it. I thought it was like a half brother from another marriage or something like that.
Oh, no.
But anyway, he's very close with this kid Pedro. And they go to one of his baseball games. Mm-hmm. And then while they're at the baseball game, her sister lies even more.
Yeah, saying that she's a vegetarian.
Yeah.
But she's not.
And she couldn't remember the name of their childhood dog.
Yeah, she calls it Tori. And and Katherine Heigl goes, yeah, I remember our dog, Toby. And she goes, yeah, I had a lisp. And she goes, a lisp where you would change your B's to R's? And then he goes, I had a stutter when I was a kid. And she's like, oh, we're so similar.
Yeah. And then just, for all the knuckle draggers and mouth breathers, Edward Burns gets up to go help Pedro on the field. She goes, why are you making all this stuff up? Mm-hmm. Just in case you were dumb enough to not realize that all these were lies. They hit it on the nose for everybody.
And her sister's like, well, I could like hiking and doing this. She's like, I like tanning. And it's like shows that she really is making all of this up, and she really should not be doing this, because they might actually be a decent match if she didn't lie.
Yeah.
If she was just truthful, they probably would be fine.
Yeah, she's not that far off from what she's saying anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, she's still like an attractive blonde woman, right?
Yeah.
So there's a montage of her sister being tortured by their relationship. Mm-hmm. Like she comes home and finds them making out on the couch.
Yeah.
Do you remember some of the other stuff from the montage?
That's when the little "I love you" part with they kiss, and they're at the wedding, and she goes, "This means I love you" in sign language, and they kiss. Oh, and so that's at the end of the montage.
Yeah, this movie has almost as many montages as Rocky IV.
A lot. There's I counted 2.
I don't think any movie has as many montages as Rocky IV.
But I think there's 2 montages.
Yeah, there's 2 montages.
So
then she finds another wallet. Why is there so many people losing and finding wallets?
Well, I think so she goes into his office and she sees his wallet on his desk, and she's like, oh, he forgot his wallet. Let me go bring it to him. She looks on his table and she's like, oh, he's here. Let me go bring it to him.
Yeah.
Which, that's weird.
Yeah, there's 2 wallet
can
finding
find it.
things in the... Yeah, but anyway,
I don't think the
it's
other
just to
thing was
get
her wallet.
It's just to... Close enough. It was just to get her to go and be proposed to by him. But then him saying like, hey, that's not the right girl.
Yeah. Oh,
because there was like a band
so
there.
terrible. So she walks in and the band starts playing.
I'm sorry, but this was the most egregious, like, eye-rolly part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
That he accidentally proposes to her.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, God.
Yeah. So she walks in, the band starts playing. They roll out a little banner that says, will you marry me? And he walks in, he's like, whoa, 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 this is not the right girl. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry, you forgot your wallet. And then her sister walks up behind her and she goes, what is this? And then they roll it out and the banner's all crooked and the band's like playing off key now.
Yeah.
And just it shows
Katherine Heigl doesn't know where to stand.
Yeah, it shows that the whole thing is awkward, first of all, and that it's not right. Like the whole relationship is off.
Right.
I think that was the purpose of it, is to show that this relationship is not.
Yeah,
it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
There's something wrong about it.
Yes, definitely. And then they go to her dad's house, and her dad is like, "Oh, here, give your mother's dress."
Yeah, and Catherine is very upset about.
Because you could tell by the look on her face that that's what she wanted.
Yeah,
because
and even in the beginning, whenever they first go to their dad's house, there's a picture of their parents' wedding. And Catherine goes, they had the perfect wedding. She had a beautiful dress at the boathouse at sunset. They loved each other. And then Tess goes, well, her dress wasn't that great. And she goes, I think it was perfect.
Yeah, I think they even set it up when she gets home from the airport too. They say something about her mom and her wedding. But anyway, also her mom, like, they have a very idealized idea of what their mother was, because their mother died when they were pretty young.
Yeah.
And then I think Tess, being younger than her, even has less of a memory than her, because she might have been like 5 when she died, while Katherine Heigl character was 8.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why she might not like the dress as much.
Mm-hmm. So the dad gives her mom's dress and she is like, well, are you okay with this? And Catherine's like, yeah, it's fine. As long as that's what you want. She goes, it is. And so she walks out of the house because she's upset. She wants to go away. And she calls Kevin. And she meets up with Kevin at a bar. And he goes, you've been avoiding me, because he's been calling her this whole entire time, trying to reach her. He put in her little Filodex or whatever, like he penciled himself in every Saturday for the whole year. And so she was upset that he's been trying to reach her. He's been calling her constantly. And he's like, you've been ignoring me, and now all of a sudden you call me. And she goes,
would you think that maybe he called her 27 times?
Probably more than that. But he was like, why are you reaching out to me now? And she tells him, well, my younger sister's getting married, and she's wearing my mom's dress. And he goes, are you more upset that, why are you upset? Are you upset that she's getting married before you? And she was like, no, I'm happy for her. But he doesn't know that she is in love with her fiance.
Yeah, she hasn't figured that out yet.
Well, he hasn't figured
That's
that out.
what I meant.
Yeah.
He hasn't figured that out yet. Yeah, and by this point in the movie, you have really figured out that Katherine Heigl's character just has no backbone. She won't stand up for herself. She's a people pleaser. So this is the part in the movie where you're supposed to, like, okay, you have to grow a backbone, and that's what by the end of the movie, hopefully you have done that.
Yeah.
So they took a while to set that up, but it's pretty firm, I would say. And then there's a planning wedding montage, I would say.
I mean, they're going through the park, and she's like, hey, I want this, this, and this.
Well, they go to the guy who makes the cake and stuff.
Yeah, they do. But that's when she meets Kevin again. So she goes to, well, the other thing whenever she first meets Kevin again is she tells him, no, because I'm going to have to plan everything. And he was kind of like, don't you already do that for everyone else already? Because you've had that penciled in your book. And she's just like, I know that I'm going to have to do all of it for her. And I think it's because she's going to have to plan her dream wedding for her sister.
Right.
And, but so we move on. We're at the cake place and she's getting this cake for her sister. But before we even go to the cake place, we are at the park or like somewhere where there's like the boathouse. And her sister tells her, well, I'm going to get married at the boathouse too. Not only am I going to get married in mom's dress, I'm going to get married in the boathouse, the venue you've always wanted to get married in.
Right.
And so I think that's really even more upsetting for her. So then we go to the cake place and
all this is going to happen in 3 weeks.
Yeah, because the boathouse is only available in 3 weeks.
Right.
So this is when we see that Kevin is there and this Doyle guy, this Malcolm Doyle, the guy that is the columnist for the commitments section in the newspaper, has reached out to her for their wedding information. And so he tells, when they meet up, Katherine Heigl's character is there and she's like, why are you here? And he goes, hi, my name is Malcolm Doyle. And she goes, you lied to me. Your name is Kevin. And so he was like, no, that's a pseudonym so I don't have crazy brides looking out for me. And
yeah,
which is true. Like that's like, he's not lying to her.
No, it's not.
He gave her his real name.
Yeah, but she doesn't like him all this time. And she says like, you're the guy who wrote all those columns that I love. This is like finding out that your favorite song was written by about a sandwich.
Yeah, your favorite love song is written about a sandwich.
Yeah, because he's just faking all this stuff.
Yeah. She's also in this little section where she's talking about the boathouse and all of that. She asks her, she's telling her, hey, these are the people I want in my wedding party. I want you to be my bride, my maid of honor. And then I'm going to get our cousin, this person, because
second cousin once removed, something like that.
Jane or something or Jan or something.
Yeah, and this is basically just like, Tess doesn't have any friends.
Yeah, she has no friends. And then she asks Jane or whatever her name is, her sister, for her friend to be in her wedding. And she goes, but she's my friend. She's not your friend. And she goes, I don't have any other girlfriends. Other girls don't really like me. And she goes, I wonder why that is. She's like, so it becomes this other issue.
Yeah. And then she's at home and Mars Bar, he comes and knocks on the door. And at first she doesn't want to talk to him, but he's like, look, just give me a second. I need to interview you for the article. And he notices her closet full of all the bridesmaid dresses.
I think that whenever he sees her at the cake place, this should have been they should have done a better job of him being like, this is my ticket to get my actual story. It wasn't really played like that. It was just like, oh, this is the perfect occurrence. Did he know that Tess was her sister? Probably. Who knows? Maybe. But there should have been something that tells us, oh, he's planning to do his actual article about her and not Tess.
Right. But I mean, he'd already gotten the go-ahead to do that article, right?
Yes.
It was just kind of a happy accident that it happens to be.
But I think it would have been more interesting to have him be like, this is us letting the audience know, like, this is my plan. In a way.
Maybe.
Because, whenever all that stuff happens, it's like, how did that happen? It just kind of occurred. It was just a little weird.
Yeah. I mean, there's some real Deus ex machina in this.
Yeah.
Where you just happened to be walking in when this was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, this is a really important part of the movie when he goes to her house, because he starts telling us, like, look at you should get rid of these dresses. They're so many of them are so ugly.
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, they're not. And she's like, look at this one. This one's kind of nice. And it's like a drab olive color.
Yeah. And he goes, it's not that. It's really bad. It's a really bad color.
Yeah.
And she goes, it's not as bad on. So he's like, okay, whatever. And so she goes and puts it on for him. And she goes, see? And he goes, and he takes a picture of it. And she's not expecting him to take a picture of her. And he shows it to her. And she goes, okay. I mean, it's pretty bad. And
I really like that he had a digital camera.
I know, yeah.
I wish I had a digital camera.
I know. I used to have a digital camera. But she then is like, you think this one's bad? That is not even the worst one. She was like, let me show you my favorite, which it was for a themed, like.
Oh, and this is the second montage. This is
is the second montage.
Yeah, and this one's a lot of fun. This one isn't to show the passage of time. This is just to be like, look at these two people bonding and look at all these ugly dresses. It was funny. I enjoyed it.
It's a good montage. It's my favorite it's one of my favorite montages of all times.
Mm-hmm.
But she's putting on all these hideous bridesmaids dresses, and then it has little clips of like when she actually wore them in the weddings.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Alongside of so it does show like when she actually wore them. Like
yeah,
what's going on
shows
in the wedding.
Like these weird weddings that people have. Like one was at a ranch and they were on horses, and then one was at the beach.
One was underwater.
Yeah, one was underwater. Because he holds up flippers at one point.
He's like, "What was this?"
Yeah, and I briefly worked in the wedding industry as a videographer. And people do some weird stuff for their weddings.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, if you're about to get married and you're listening to this at home, do the weird stuff. It's better.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's
and
fun.
It's memorable.
It's more memorable. You don't. Well, I mean, I guess people get married more than one time.
It's personable for you.
But it's one of the few times in your life you could have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
So have your weird ass wedding.
Yeah, we had a little bit of weird stuff.
Yeah, we had some weird stuff.
Yeah, it's fun.
We had, but we had the wedding we wanted to have.
Yeah.
So
we had a fucking awesome wedding.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a lot of people's weddings are really stressful. Ours wasn't that stressful.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Because we did what we wanted to do. And we didn't make it stressful.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about our dumb relationship.
Our beautiful dumb relationship. So they have their great little dress montage, and
then Mars Bar has the titular line. He looks through the pictures. He cycles through the picture. He's like 27 dresses. So he just straight up says the
name of the
and it doesn't. It feels organic. Like a lot of times in movies when they say the titular line, it doesn't feel organic. It feels very shoehorned in.
Yeah.
This felt like, you would just say that.
Yeah,
you would.
27.
If you knew somebody who had been a bridesmaid an inordinate amount of times, you would be like, you would go 1, 2, 3, 4. Like you would count the
27 dresses.
Yeah, you would count them. So I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. The next thing that happens is
No. Don't skip over this.
Oh, what?
They have an emotional moment together.
Oh, yeah.
And she says, I was in all these people's weddings and I did the best I could because I was hoping one day they would be there for me. And he's like, but what if they're not?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to.
What?
The next thing that happens is this deep moment. She's like sitting in one of her bridesmaids dresses.
Well, I thought you were just going to go to the next scene.
No.
Because you said the next thing that happened.
Yeah, the next thing this is a big moment. The next thing that happens, this is really what bonds them a lot. Well, one of the bigger things that bonds them. Because there's other things that happen that bond them even more. But she's sitting there and he asks her, like, why do you have all of these weddings? And she tells him, like, I want to be there for them so that they'll be there for me whenever it's my turn. And she's in this wedding. She's in one of her bridesmaids dresses and he snaps a picture of her and it kind of breaks her out of it. And then it kind of takes her out of that world of dreaming again.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else you wanted to say about that?
No.
Okay.
But then it goes to, she goes to, I think she calls her sister, and then she's got the little brother cleaning their apartment.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Which is so weird. But she lies to him and says like, "Oh, we're gonna start a cleaning business so you can make some money." So
yeah,
start
well,
by
she
cleaning
goes
her
and
house.
she's like, "Don't tell your boss." I don't remember his name.
Yeah, don't tell your big brother. Which at first I
but
thought,
no, but she tells her sister, "Don't tell."
oh yeah, that's right. She tells her
him
sister.
because.
But when I was
she will
watching
get
this,
mad.
I still thought it was his younger half brother.
Oh,
The fact that this kid is not related to him and is just part of Big Brothers of America makes it so much more fucked up.
yeah,
Like, yeah, I got this underprivileged kid and I'm going to make him clean my house. Oh, and he's Hispanic, so there's a
Yeah.
racist element to it, too.
mm-hmm.
That's pretty
That was
funny.
the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then when is the point when they go to the yoga studio? I love the line that she said. her
Oh, we
friend
skipped
says-
over that already.
Oh, well, there's a part where she goes to the yoga studio when she asks her friend, like, "Hey, will you be a bridesmaid for my sister's wedding?" And she's like, "Fuck no." But there's one point where she calls her sister, "That selfish whore," and then everyone turns around and she goes, "Namaste."
Yeah, that was a funny joke.
Some really, really funny little jokes in here.
Yeah, she keeps having outbursts in the yoga class, and the
Yeah.
yoga instructor finally hits a gong and
Yeah.
like stares at her. It's pretty good.
So then we go into they're trying food out for the dinner. I think it's at the boathouse, actually.
No, I think they're doing the registry. They're doing the registry
Oh, yeah,
right
you're
now,
right.
and she's hanging out with
Doyle.
Mars bars, and he's saying stuff like, it's a $70 billion industry, and they're just taking money from people.
Yeah. And she's like, this is somewhat like this thing is my sister's going to make the casserole that my mother made for Thanksgiving. And she goes, well, she's probably not going to make it, but I will. But she'll be there. And then she goes, and then this, whenever he comes home and he brings her flowers, just because she'll take this out. And she's reminiscing on what she wants with all of these things. And then he points out this ugly like umbrella holder, and he's like, and this is the umbrella holder that will hold all his umbrellas. And just showing the ludicrous idea of like you needing all of those things to be happy in a marriage.
Yeah, I really identified a lot with his character throughout this movie because
I bet you do.
Yeah, because I am that guy who's just like, okay, what is the point of all this shit? And that's one of the reasons I was happy that we didn't spend a lot of money on our wedding. Just a lot of it just seems really ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like we made our own cake.
Mm-hmm. I made it.
You wore your mother's dress. Like we were not.
That's something I was going to say. Whenever they brought up the dress, I wore my mom's dress.
Yeah, but it's dumb to go crazy on a lot of this stuff. I just think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Call in favors from your family, for fuck's sake.
Well, then we go to a restaurant, and Tess is getting her hair done or something. And so she goes, Jane goes to eat, try out the food for the ceremony, or for after the ceremony, for the reception with her boss. And they're sitting there and they're having this conversation, and Doyle walks up and he sees how enthralled Catherine's character is with him. So she's leaning over, she's giggling, and she's so happy, and it clicks. Oh, she loves him. That's why she's so upset about this.
Yeah. So he figures out the love triangle.
And then also whenever they're doing the registry, this is also the moment where she asks him, why are you so cynical about this? And he tells her that he had a past relationship that went really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a failed marriage. I can't remember what he said.
I don't know. They should have gotten into that more. I'm like,
It was very brushed over.
Yeah, they really waxed over that real quickly. Like, they didn't really give him a good reason to why he hates weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote in my notes, roommate? Like, what?
Yeah.
Because he said it was about a roommate. I was like, okay.
But he then tells her, like, oh, well, I can bring her to the place that you need for the linens, and you can go do your other thing because you have something with your you have dinner with your parents to meet with her sister Tess. I can bring Catherine's character. And she's like, no, it's fine. Well, I can do it quickly. And he's like, no, that would be great. And so she's forced to go with Doyle instead of her boss to go look at linens. And
yeah,
on
and
the
they're
way,
driving in the rain
mm-hmm.
in a Volvo, which that Volvo was in so many movies. I don't know what it is about that era of Volvo that gets put in so many goddamn movies.
I have no idea.
But anyway, and they start fighting with each other on the road in the rain.
And he's like, I know exactly why you're so upset because you love him. And she's like, no, I don't. That's not what it is. And he goes, yes, it is. So he's figured out that she loves him and she doesn't want to face that fact.
Yeah. And then he's like, be careful. You're going to hydroplane on the road. And she's like, no, I'm not going to hydroplane. And then they end up hydroplaning
immediately after.
Yeah. And they get stuck in a field because their tire gets stuck in the mud. And so they end up walking to a bar.
Mm-hmm, to try to call a tow truck.
Yeah. And here they have a really good conversation about his column, and she's like, I can't believe you wrote all that stuff. Like, you can't fake that. And he's like, well, I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so
she goes, one of my favorite columns was about this family. He had just flown in from Afghanistan, and she tells him about the
Keller wedding, right?
Yeah, the Keller wedding. And she's like, how can you not be moved by that? I don't understand how you can't be moved by that. And he's like, well, I'm just a good writer, I guess. And she goes, I don't think you are.
Yeah, but also we'll find out later that he's being coy at this point.
Yeah. So they hear Benny and the Jets, and they both love the song, even though they don't know any of the lyrics.
Yeah, I feel like they were intentionally screwing up the lyrics to make each other laugh, though.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Well, whenever I've always watched this, I've always really thought that they thought because I mean, if there's a lot of lyrics that people hear,
the mohair boobs,
mohair boots. I mean, it's boots. Boots is not far from boobs.
I know, but I'm just saying,
people
like, how do you miss
a lot of really mishear lyrics very often?
Yeah, maybe death metal lyrics, but not these.
No, people mishear a lot of lyrics.
I don't know if they do.
I think they do.
I don't know.
Well, I'm going to tell you some later.
Okay.
So, there's also like something about a hippopotamus, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, and
it was really cute.
It was funny. Yeah, it was cute and funny, and like, I do this. Like, I don't know the lyrics to. I'm not a lyrics guy. I'm a music guy.
I'm a lyric lady.
Yeah, you're a lyrics person, but I'm not. I'd rather listen to a song that doesn't have any lyrics at all. I just like music. I like when I was in college. I mean, not college. When I was in high school, I was in string orchestra. It's just music.
Yeah.
No lyrics. Some of my favorite like songs from like metal albums are the ones where it's just instrumental.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big lyrics guy.
But this is they're also
what I was getting at was like, so I do this.
Yeah.
I intentionally make up fake lyrics because I don't care what they really are. I just like to say what I hear in my
Oh, okay.
So this part was really fun for me because I love to do this.
Yeah. But before they actually hear the song, they have this moment where she asks him like, well, what's your favorite part about weddings? And he goes, the open bar. And she goes, no, seriously, like what, if you had to pick an actual part of the wedding part, what is your favorite part? And he tells her, well, most people look at the bride when she comes down, but my favorite part is when she's walking down. I look at the groom and because he always seems so happy for some reason. And she goes, "That's my favorite part." So they bond over this connection. Because
she said earlier when she was talking to her boss, her favorite part is when
she looks at the groom.
Yeah.
And
which now I want to ask somebody if they looked at me when you got out of that art car. Because Aaron got out of an Astro van that had a bunch of famous women painted on the outside.
Yeah.
So, but nobody was looking at me at that point.
I don't know. People may have.
I doubt it. Not with that spectacle going on. And 2 pregnant women got out of it too.
Yeah.
2 pregnant bridesmaids.
Yeah. I looked at you, but I couldn't help it. Anyways, so then they have their misheard lyrics, and then because they've been drinking by this point, they like are singing the song. They get up on the bar, everyone's singing along.
There's a quick little cut, and then all of a sudden they're on top of the bar dancing and singing the song, and everybody is really into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the song ends. He gets her off the bar, and she's like kind of woozy drunk. And he then he says, catches her, and they have this very close moment. And this is like done very well, like blocking wise.
Yes. Yeah. It was.
Staging wise, I guess.
And then he says, I cried at the Keller wedding.
Yeah. He's like, I actually cried at the Keller wedding.
Yeah.
And then they make out. And then they go to the car and they do it.
They do it in the rain in their Volvo, their stinky Volvo.
In her Volvo.
In a rocky Volvo. So then this is pretty much the start of the third act, because now, bam, they love each other. They have feelings for each other. And they go to a diner together. And while they're at the diner, somebody is like, "Hey, you're the Benny and the Jets guy." And they seem kind of embarrassed.
Yeah. And she's like, "I sang Benny and the Jets drunk, didn't I?" And he's like, "Yeah, you did." and they're having this fun little conversation. And then their waitress comes up and she goes, "You're the lady." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm Benny. He's the Jets." And she goes, "No, from the article." And she shows the article, and his editor, Doyle's editor, had ran the article while he was away.
Yeah. So he's like, "Look, this wasn't supposed to come out yet. They released it earlier." And she's mad because, she didn't know that he was, that was what the article was going to be about, was just how many times that she had been a bridesmaid. So this is the part in the third act of every rom-com where they've been in love for a short period of time, and there's something that blows their relationship up. Mm-hmm. So this is an important beat of any rom-com.
Yeah. So
also there was a part earlier when they were at a bar again, and he's like, "Look, there's such thing as saying no, right?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Let's practice here. Mm-hmm. Can I have $50?" And she's like, "No." And then he's like, "Can I have $50?" No. And then like he does it sweeter and sweeter every time. And then finally he's like, "Give me your drink." And she's like, "Okay," or something like that.
Yeah. And he goes, "We were doing so well."
Yeah. It was a cute moment between them, but it's important for later. But we forgot to mention it.
Yeah. So we then cut to, so she's now ignoring him. Like he's been calling and calling. Like we go to her work. She has several voicemails or messages from him. And so she's ignoring his calls. And then we cut to her sister at her dress fitting.
Yeah. And her sister, wait, hold on. No, her sister's pissed at her because she sees the article too. Her sister.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So she's like, "Look, you called me a bridezilla in all this." And then she storms out. And then it goes to the boss. And I like that they stuck with Edward Burns' character. Like, he's a nice boss and he's a good guy. I like that they never...
Yeah, he's never been a bad guy in this.
Yeah. And he's like, "Look, it's not that big a deal. Nobody reads this part of the newspaper anyway." So I thought that was cool that they stuck with him, because I feel like in a lot of these movies they were like, oh, the guy you actually were after turned out to be a real asshole.
Yeah. He's never an asshole. He's just not the right guy for her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't throw any dudes under the bus in this. Only women.
Her sister.
Her sister.
Which, I mean, she kind of...
Yeah. I mean, there has to be a villain in it. And she's barely a villain.
Yeah. And she's redeemable.
Yeah, she does redeem herself at the end, which I like.
So after she goes to her boss, she has her sister she comes to her sister and
she's at the dress place.
Yeah. And the first thing she tells her sister is, I've forgiven you, because of course her sister is the one that actually did something wrong. Like Jane actually did something wrong. She didn't do anything wrong, but her sister thinks she did. So she says, I've forgiven you, because I deserve to forgive you, even though you didn't do anything wrong. And then she's like, and I've written out what I want you to say at our rehearsal dinner tonight, because they're supposed to get married tomorrow. And so she goes, the pictures are going to be, we have our pictures at home. You have all of the pictures, and the pictures for my fiance, you are going to be sent to you. So you'll pick out the pictures and you'll make the slideshow. And so she's putting on her dress and she's reading over what her sister wrote. And she's kind of giggling at what her sister wrote for her, because she's like, I don't want it to be messed up or anything. And she looks up and she goes, I thought you were going to wear mom's dress. And she goes, it is mom's dress. Well, at least parts of it. And so she's like, this little glittery piece and this lacy part is mom's dress, but the rest, because it was just too old fashioned. And she gets up and she's like super pissed. And I can't remember exactly what she says to her before she says a line.
I don't remember either, but the point is, Katherine Heigl, her character, finally grows a backbone and tells her sister off, and like, how dare you cut up our mom's dress?
Yeah, but the line she says about her, she's leaving the place and she goes, you're just some bitch who broke my heart and cut up my mother's wedding dress.
Right.
Cause I think her sister says, you're my sister. And she goes, no, you're not my sister. You're just some bitch who broke my heart and cut up my mom's wedding dress. So it's like, that was a deep cut for her to say, because like her sister is all she has besides her dad. And,
yeah, but with like sisters like that, who needs siblings, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, then it goes to, their a rehearsal dinner, I guess. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Katherine Heigl shows up. She's total wild card at this point. You don't know what she's going to do. And when somebody comes up to her and is like, I feel bad for you that your little sister got married first, is going to get married first. And she says, well, that's okay, because I can still I can hate fuck strangers now.
Yeah. I can still hate fuck
long.
strangers.
And it's really, it's just trading, like, she has thrown all her fucks away.
Yeah.
So then she does the slideshow, and she speaks straight, but the pictures are like giving away like her sister has been like having a what kind of lifestyle would you call that?
Well,
a hussy. She's a little hussy.
Well, so the first thing is that she goes to her sister, and her sister's like, you're not going to say anything that's not. She tries to get her to, whenever she leaves, she says, if you don't tell him that you've been lying to him, then I'm going to tell him. And so she leaves, and then when we're at the bridal party, she goes up to her sister, and the waiter comes up and goes, pigs in a blanket. And she goes, yeah. And she goes, Tess, you want one? And she goes, no, I don't eat meat. And she goes, oh, you sure? And then she goes, okay. And she eats it, and she's like, okay, that's cluing me in that you have not told him the truth. And so she's like, okay, I'm going to go with it. And then, so during the slideshow, she goes, "You're going to just say what I wrote, right?" She goes, "Yeah, a good bridesmaid always does what she's told." So she's reading verbatim what her sister wrote, but the slide, like you said, is showing that she's eating meat and that she hates animals and all of these other things.
Uh-huh.
Not living a kosher life? No, it's not kosher. It's not what it is.
But then everybody's kind of saying like, "Oh, you took it too far." But Mars Bar, who was there because he's writing a column on it, was like, "No, I like what you did." And
well, he came because he wanted to be there for her.
Oh, that's right.
Because she didn't want Tess didn't want him there because he wrote that article about her.
Yeah, but anyway, he's like, "I like what you did." He basically says like, "You grew a backbone, and I like that."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but she's like, "I don't want to do this anymore. She was still upset, and she went to work, or she went home, and then her boss calls her, the next day because he needed someone to go with him on to some type of date or something, and so she goes there to work, and she's all dressed up, and he goes, "Oh, you look beautiful." And he then says something to her. He's like, I've always liked you because you never say no. And that was the moment she was like, okay, that's why you like me. It's not because you actually like me. It's just because
I'm a pushover.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, Mars Bar gives her this is funny and of the time, a PDA, a personal digital assistant.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was a BlackBerry.
Yeah, it was a BlackBerry.
But he basically says it's a PDA, not public display of affection. But he also says something about settling.
PAD?
Personal assistant digital?
Device?
I don't know. They used to call them PDAs. I know that.
Oh, I don't know.
I remember my sister had one. That was like for kids. That's really stupid. But he says something to her about settling. That's in my notes, but I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember that either.
Yeah. Anyway.
But she's there, and then she's like, I've always loved you, and da 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 da. And then her boss kisses her. And she goes, there was no sparks. There was nothing there. I didn't feel anything. And he goes, let's try again. They try again. And they were both like, there's nothing there. And so she leaves, and she finds out where he's at. And she goes to this wedding that he's doing a column for. And
well, she gets in the cab, and it's the same cabbie from the beginning of the movie.
yeah, and she's like, no dresses today.
And he was like, "Ah, damn it." Yeah, and then this is the part of the movie where she realized, oh, he was right the whole time, and like he sees me different because he told me like I should say no and I should stand up for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's okay. So this is the part where she's got to make a gesture. You've probably seen in one or two romantic comedies where somebody has to run to the airport before the plane leaves.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
And she had to jump from the dock to the ship that the wedding was on.
Yeah, because the wedding was on a little boat on the Hudson River. Yeah, I would love to have something like that.
Yeah.
But that's probably pretty expensive. Yeah, so she gets on there and she's immediately noticed by the bride. She's like, "Oh, you're the woman from that article."
Mm-hmm. And she goes, "I'm trying to find Doyle." And so she brings her to the stage so that she can make an announcement.
Mm-hmm.
And they make an announcement and they find each other. And she talks about how he was kind of right and that she wants to be with him. And pretty much.
Yeah.
Watching a romantic comedy with you is interesting because I know it's hokey. It's really hokey. And so I'm like, is this good?
Yeah, well, sometimes, I mean, when there's certain genres of movies that I like so much that I can't tell when they're bad either. But, also, I've been to film school, so stuff jumps out at me. This movie is good, though. This movie definitely hit all the points. But we'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, and then also her and her sister make up, and Katherine Heigl finds out that her sister's life hasn't been as easy as she thinks.
Yeah.
Because she thinks that, like, oh, she's this pretty blonde girl with not a care in the world, but it turns out, like, that life isn't so easy.
Yeah.
When you've made your whole life about just finding a man.
Mm-hmm. So, they've made up, and then we get to the end, and she's walking down the aisle, and she talks about how this is her 28th dress, and it's her wedding dress.
Oh, there's also a scene where she throws all of her dresses away.
Yeah, she does throw her dresses away before she goes to her boss's thing.
Yeah, because that's obviously symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
Then I guess
There's a lot of things that happen in this movie. It's hard to like hit every single point.
Well, yeah, it is. But I mean, what's so great about this movie is that everything that gets dropped, they pick back up.
Mm-hmm.
Another movie that's really good was that first Into the Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah.
Is they drop a lot of stuff and they pick it all up by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
To the point where you're like, oh God, I didn't expect them to do that.
Mm-hmm. Even the second one where they pick up things from that first movie and bring them back.
Yeah.
Like the bagel thing.
Yeah. that was a real deep cut for that movie. But this movie is really, really good about it. Drops a lot of stuff and it picks up everything. It ties up every loose end. Even with the smallest characters, like, so it cuts to their wedding and they're having a wedding on the beach. It's a year later.
Mm-hmm.
It's a year after they kiss on the boat and decide they're going to be together. And there's that one guy who worked at the paper with him.
Yeah, who was a sleazebag.
Yeah, who was kind of a sleazy guy, but it shows him like going up to Judy Greer's character, who's
the sleazy girl.
The sleazy girlfriend is like, hey, can I buy you a drink? And she goes, well, it's an open bar, so I might be buying you that drink.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty good.
And then when she's walking down the aisle, they kind of like look at each other like, ooh, which is really fun.
Yeah, and then the boss character, Edward Burns, and Tess have a meet, and she gets to sort of been like, oh, look,
this is who I really am.
This is who I really am, and I'm working on myself. I'm not just trying to get a dude to support me.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
even when she walks down the aisle, he like looks at her like, I appreciate what you're doing for yourself.
Yeah. So you don't know, maybe they could rekindle their relationship. And the little boy Pedro's with them. Mm-hmm. What else do they pick up at that? And
then all of the women that she had in her bridal party, or that she was a bridesmaid for, were then in the bridesmaid dress that she had in her bridal party.
Yeah, so she had 27 really bridesmaids.
No, she had 29 bridesmaids because her sister and her best friend were also bridesmaids.
Oh, okay. Which the wedding that I did with the most...
29.
I did a wedding with 12 bridesmaids once.
She had 29 bridesmaids.
Yeah, but I'm saying I did a wedding with 12.
That's a lot of freaking bridesmaids.
It was a Nigerian wedding.
Yeah. We had 6. No, we had 1, 2, 3, 4. 4?
What are you talking about?
Our bride.
Yeah, you had 4.
4.
You had your 2 cousins, Sam and Matt.
Yeah.
And then I had 4. And all of my party, my groomsmen worked at Blockbuster Video.
Yeah. Cute.
Yeah, that's funny. And it was just a coincidence.
Their little wedding favor with little Blockbuster things with their names on it, but like movie titles for their names.
I made up fake movie titles.
It was really cute.
Yeah.
So that's the movie. So Joey, what did we call the...
On a scale...
Oh, on a scale.
Aaron, on a scale of 1 to 9 cat lives, how many cat lives did this movie slay?
I would say... Honestly, I love this movie. And for me personally, this movie is 8 cat lives.
8 cat lives?
Yeah.
That's what you gave the last movie.
I know. I like that movie too a lot.
Yeah, this movie, I enjoyed watching it. I thought the character arcs were really good. I like James Martin always plays some supporting character who never really has an arc. Like the people just change around him. Like that's sort of like his wheelhouse, and that was good. Katherine Heigl has a really good character arc. Her sister does. They hit all the beats right. But honestly, for me, like the jokes weren't just really that great. Like I felt like this could have been. They should have had somebody write Punch Up for this and put some more jokes in it. Because the character dynamics were really good. I thought there could have been more jokes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it 6 cat lives.
Okay.
But I did enjoy
1/3 of the cat.
Yeah, I did enjoy it because it hit all those beats. Everything it dropped, it picked back up. And it had a very satisfying ending with the 27 dresses coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good movie. Really good movie.
Awesome.
Yeah, when you think about, like, I know our metric is kind of off because it's 9. It's an odd number.
It's an odd number.
But 6, that's 1/3 of the cat lives.
Yeah.
Right. So if it was 3 stars,
1 out of 3.
If you said 1 out of 3,
or 2 out of 3.
Yeah, it would be 2 out of 3. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's a good score.
I agree. Awesome. So for our last little thing that we're going to do, we are going to play a little game. So in the movie, there are some misheard lyrics. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read some misheard lyrics to you, and you have to guess what the actual lyrics are. So how this will work is I'm going to read the lyric first. Okay. If you can guess the lyrics correctly, you'll get 2 points. If you can't guess it, I can sing the misheard lyrics, and you have to then guess what the real lyrics are.
Okay.
If you can't guess them either way, then you get 0 points.
So if you sing it, I get 1 point?
1 point, yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So the
I like
first,
this.
an example. So, wrapped up like a douche, another roamer in the night.
Right.
What would be the correct lyrics?
Revved up like a deuce, another roller in the night.
Okay.
It's Bruce Springsteen.
So if he didn't get that, I would have wrapped up like a douche, another roller in the night, a roamer in the night. Okay. So,
all right.
So the first song, or should I just keep chasing penguins?
Okay, I know this song.
Okay.
Should I give up or should I just keep pavement? Is it chasing pavement?
Yes.
Really?
Chasing pavements. Okay, good job. Do you know who it's by? I'll give
Adele?
you It is by Adele.
Yeah.
I'll give you an extra point. So you have 3 points now. Keep your little tallies. Give me that pen.
No.
I'll keep your tallies for you.
Yeah, I really like Adele's writing, and she's got a really great voice, but all of her songs are love songs, and I hate that.
Some of them are
not love songs, but like relationship songs.
Yeah, they're all about relationships. Really.
Don't like that.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. I'd rather listen to songs about raining blood.
Let's pee in the corner. Let's pee in the spotlight.
That's me losing my religion. Okay, what's it again? That's me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight.
Yep.
Losing my religion.
Okay, that's 2 points. Do you know who who is the artist?
That's easy. It's REM.
Good job, Joey. Okay,
That
you have
music video.
6
That
points.
music video. Have you ever seen it?
I've not
The
seen that music video.
is really good, which is surprising because it was from the 90s.
Okay. This one's really easy. Then I saw her face. Now I'm going to leave her.
I saw her face. Now I'm a believer.
Yes, that's correct. Do you know who that's by?
Justin Bieber.
Incorrect.
I don't know who. I know the song. I don't know who it's by.
Oh shoot, what's that band? Damn it. I can't think of them either now.
Let me Google it real quick.
Ooh, I'm a believer. Smash Mouth. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Wait, I thought that was a cover from an older.
The Monkees, yeah.
Oh, okay. The Monkees.
Yeah, the Monkees did it originally, and then they Smash Mouth.
Yeah, but
Okay.
the Monkees didn't even write their own music. That's from The Simpsons.
Okay, ready?
That's not even his hat.
Saving his life from this warm sausage tea.
Oh, you're going to have to sing that one. Saving his hat from a warm sausage tea?
Saving his life from this warm sausage tea.
Okay.
I'm getting the courage to sing this. Saving his life from this warm
Saving his life from his warm sausage tea. Is that how it goes?
Yes.
Oh, that's saving his life from this monstrosity.
Yes.
Okay.
And who is that by? Warm sausage
Queen.
tea.
That's Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Yes, it is.
My favorite song of all time. Sarcasm.
Okay, ready?
How many of these are we gonna do?
8.
Oh my god.
Okay, ready? Kick a chicken with it.
Kick a chicken with it? I can hear it in my head. What? Can you sing it?
Kick a chicken with it. That's it.
Getting jiggy with it?
Yes. Na 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 na.
Kick a chicken with it. No, kick a chicken with it.
I have a very wheezy laugh today. I think I'm getting sick.
Oh, I also imagine my dog. Like my dog was named Chicken. Like
Kick
him
a chicken with it.
You remember that worried face?
Yeah,
he used
like,
to give you? No, don't kick me.
Do you know who that's by?
Will Smith.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy.
Dyslexics on fire.
Dyslexics on fire. Dyslexics on fire, like losing my. I don't know. What's that one?
Dyslexics on fire.
This girl is on fire?
Yes, this girl's on fire.
Alicia Keys?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a baboon on the right.
There's a baboon on the right.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Moon Baboon?
No.
I don't know this one.
There's a baboon on the right.
Oh, there's a bad moon on the rise.
Yes.
Wow, I'm surprised I know so many of these.
I know, you're good. Who's that by?
Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Okay. Okay, I'm a leather face. I'm a leather face.
I don't know that one.
I'm a leather face.
I don't
This
know.
is how I feel.
I know the song from the tune, but I don't know the lyrics. I don't know who sang it.
I'm all out of faith.
Yeah.
I'm all out of faith.
I would have never guessed
I'm
that.
a leather face. This is how I feel.
Oh my god.
Which was your favorite?
Which was my favorite? Definitely Kick a
Kick
Chicken.
a chicken with it. Kick a chicken with it. Na 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 na.
Kick a chicken with it.
Na 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 na.
Kick a chicken with it.
Do it then.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for us here at Slay the Cat. And don't forget to slay and neuter your cats. And we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.